Thank you for joining the webinar today. My name is Shashank, and today we will be going through the topic of Snowflake Adapter. So let's start with the agenda of the day. So today, I would be presenting what we as Roho Integration are. So we're talking briefly about the organization. We'll look at the third-party connectivity that SAP Integration Suite has been adding recently. And then we will deep dive further into the Snowflake Adapter. We'll look at the features of the adapter. We'll run through a demo where we will show you different operations such as insert, staging. We will look at multi-execute. We'll show you some interesting ways you can interact with the Snowflake adapter. And then we will end the session with the Q&A round. Of course, if you have any questions or any remark during the session as well, feel free to add it in the Q&A section of this webinar. We would be attending them as well parallelly. So we as Roho Integration, we are partnered with SAP for almost more than a decade now, since 2011. We have our presence across multiple locations. So we are based out of Netherlands, which is our headquarters. We have our offices in Spain and in India as well. We are strategic partners with SAP, where we work closely with them in the area of third-party connectivity. We are helping them improve their third-party connectivity by adding more and more connectivity options. And not just third-party connectivity, we are also very much closely working with them in a different areas, ecosystems of SAP. We are helping them also create pre-packaged content. So integrating your S/4HANA application to, let's say, your Salesforce application or Coupa application. So we do have a lot of pre-packaged content that we build together with SAP in the space of integration. We are also strategic partners with Solis for advanced event mesh. So we do also create a lot of event-driven architectural scenarios in Integration Suite. We do have a lot of adapters that supports in this setup as well. We have our partner Coupa as well. Coupa is nothing but a procurement platform. We have an adapter for Coupa application to integrate with Coupa application seamlessly. And together with them, also we have a lot of integration content that goes along with the SAP Integration Suite. And on the right side that you see is what I was talking about, that we do have a lot of integration scenario. You can see them in your Business Accelerator Hub. There are a lot of discovery missions as well that are coming with these adapters and integration content. So feel free to use them. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us as well. Coming to BTP, BTP has multiple offerings. One of the offerings within that is Integration Suite. And within Integration Suite, we do focus on the third-party connectivity a lot. And this is our focus for today. The top right corner that you see, the third-party apps such as Coupa, Salesforce, Workday. So we do have a lot of connectivity options in this space. We do have adapters for a lot of popular applications like Coupa, NetSuite ERP, HubSpot, Anaplan. We do have adapters in the space of the databases. For example, today we are going to look at Snowflake. We have Cosmos DB, we have Azure database as well. That I think we are also, SAP is also going to release MongoDB very quickly. I think in next couple of weeks it should be live as well. So a lot of database adapters are coming on its way. A lot of adapters that supports integration, event-driven architecture. So we have Salesforce PubSub that was released last, I think 3 to 4 months back. We have Google PubSub adapters. SAP has also released this IBM MQ adapter, which also supports this event-driven architecture. So Roho collaborates with SAP in this area of third-party connectivity and help SAP Integration Suite to get better and for it to be able to connect to a lot of third-party applications. All these adapters that I'm talking about are natively built by the best practices that SAP has, and they are accessible and easily available from the Business Accelerator Hub. We will show you how you can consume some of these adapters for your own integration need in the upcoming demos that we will see today. So this is a high-level overview of the roadmap. Of course, this is not an extensive list, but this already gives you a high-level clarity that we have been working together with SAP and have been releasing a lot of adapters. I think more than 20 adapters are already live within SAP Integration Suite. The adapters that have been live are Coupa, Snowflake, EventBridge, Kinesis, Anaplan, Salesforce, a lot of adapters in this space. And then this is something which will continue for next years as well, where we are going to add more and more connectivity options for many different third-party applications. Today, the agenda is to look at the Snowflake Adapter. Snowflake Adapter is a SaaS solution. So Snowflake as an application is a SaaS solution which allows you to store, process, and analyze a large volume of data. This is one of those applications which is very widely used, and it is because of its performance and scalability when it deals with large volume of data. And with this adapter, you would be easily able to connect to Snowflake as an application and perform all these database related commands such as CRUD operations. So you can read, write, update, and delete data. Not only that, you can do a lot of more complex operation. We will look at some of the scenarios today with the adapter that we have currently in the SAP Integration Suite. Let's look at the features of the adapter. So the adapter comes with two types of authentication. We do have database account where you can use a username password in order to authenticate yourself against your Snowflake application. We do have key pair authentication as well, wherein you create a public key and a private key. Your public key is associated to a particular user within your Snowflake application, and then the private key is uploaded in your SAP Cloud Integration key store. And then you also, together with that key store alias, you also provide a username that you want to associate it with, and the adapter uses that private key in order to authenticate against Snowflake application. In terms of operations, as I highlighted, we do support all the CRUD operations. So we have insert, update, delete, select commands. But not only that, we have other operations such as staging. So we do have possibilities of creating a stage and then uploading files into that staging location and then do a bulk upsert. We'll see that as well in one of the demo today. You have a very powerful operation which is execute, where you can create more complex SQL commands and you can run them together as well. So there's execute and multi-execute, which allows you to run one or many commands in a single go, which will help you to have a faster performance, and then a lot of orchestration can be done with those commands as well. The protocol, this adapter is based on the JDBC protocol of Snowflake, and it internally uses the JDBC drivers provided by the Snowflakes in order to communicate with Snowflake application. And then, of course, in advanced features, we have highlighted the staging, the bulk operation. So you can do a bulk upsert or a bulk unload, which is extracting information from the Snowflake into your staging locations. And as I highlighted, we do have multi-statement support as well. Let's look at the adapter in Cloud Integration Research so that you get a better feel of how the adapter will look like. So before I show you the adapter, I can also very quickly show you how you can get these adapter from the SAP Cloud Integration. So in an Integration Suite, if you have Integration Suite already, you should be able to see the Snowflake adapter already available in the adapter list. But if not, then you can go to the Discover tab, select the Snowflake adapter, and then copy into your design workspace. This is a manual way of doing it, but generally it should be automatically coming in your list of adapters that is available in the Integration Suite. Once you have this adapter in your design space, you should be seeing this adapter in the here, and then of course this should also be then visible in your adapter list. So if I open one iFlow, and if I drag and see the adapter list, from this list you will see Snowflake, and when you select this, of course you will get on all the configurations that you can choose from. I do have one of the adapters already there, so let me just start from this to show you the different possibilities do we have. So we have authentication. As I highlighted, we do have database account and the key pair. So if when you choose database account, you need to provide the credential name. This is an artifact that would be created in your security material. So you need to create a user credential with your username, password, and the alias of that has to be provided as in this box. If you choose key pair authentication, then you need to store the private key of your account, which is associated to the public key, into your key store, provide the alias here and together with the username that you would want to use here. You need to provide the address of your Snowflake application. There's an example provided. So it generally looks like jdbc.:snowflake, your organization name, and then snowflakecomputing.com. Which database you want to connect to, and each database could have multiple schemas. So the public is a default schema, and that is why the adapter also comes with the public as a default schema. And then Snowflake have different warehouses. These warehouses have different capabilities. So for example, if you have a smaller warehouse, it would have its own capability in terms of performance, in terms of the number of commands it can execute parallelly. And if you have a bigger warehouse, it should have more capabilities and it would have a better performance as well. So depending on the warehouses you have, you can choose the right warehouse based on the queries that you are going to execute as well. On the processing side, you have different operations that you can choose from. The CRUD operation, which is select, insert, update, and delete. These are basic operations, so which comes with the intuitive UI as well. So you can just provide the basic details such as a table that you want to interact with, what fields you would want to get. If you have a where clause, you can provide that, the order statement, the limit, and offset. Similarly, when you're doing an insert, you need to provide the whole content, the data that you want to insert as an input payload, and then in which table you want to insert the data is supposed to be provided in this text box. You have update. Update is very much similar with insert. The difference here is that in the payload that you're going to provide, you also then provide the where clause. So which fields you want to update, on what conditions you want to update. And then you have this checkbox that allows you to control the behavior. In case there's a failure, what do you want to do? If you want to proceed ahead or you want to stop on the record which failed, and then the rest of the records should not be updated. So you can also control that. And then you have delete operation as well, where you provide the table, and then you need to provide the where clause, which is mandatory, where you provide what set of data you want to delete as part of the delete operation. But we do have few more operations which are more powerful as well. For example, bulk upsert. So if you have large, because Snowflake is generally used for uploading or maybe dealing with a large volume of data. So in those cases, so if we don't have transactional, for transaction, I think the operations that we discussed earlier, they are favorable to use. But if you have large volume of data to be uploaded, then bulk upsert is an option that you can also choose from. In bulk upsert, currently we do provide 3 different staging location as an option. So we do have AWS S3, Google Cloud Storage, and Microsoft Azure that you can choose from. These are the staging location that you need to create. So you need to have a link between your Amazon S3 bucket and your Snowflake table. In S3, we do already have an option that you create a stage as a prerequisite, but you can also create a stage as an external location and then provide the AWS detail. And in this case, you don't need to do that prerequisite. It should be the Adapter should be able to load all the files that are present in this particular AWS location into your table of Snowflake. We do have other options, which is Google Cloud Storage and Azure, where you can choose the external stage and provide the staging name, which is already created within your Snowflake application. And then you can load all the files which are present in these stages to your databases, to your tables already. Similarly, we do have unload operation, which is extracting information from the tables of Snowflake into different staging locations. So you can again choose different applications such as S3, Google Cloud Storage, and Azure, where you want to place the output of these tables into the staging location that you have. And then we have another operation, which is execute, where you can provide multiple SQL statements. You can provide either single or multiple execute SQL statement, and you can run them parallelly in this field. And if you have multiple statement that you want to execute, then you also then select this checkbox, and you can provide the number of queries that you are executing. So if you have 5 queries that you're providing in a single go, then you provide the number of SQL query files, and then the adapter would execute all the queries and would provide you a response, individual responses clubbed together as a single response. So these are the operations that adapter do support currently. We will look at few scenarios. So let's start with a very basic select command. In this case, I'm using a database account, the address of our Snowflake account, the database, the warehouse. I'm using a table which is cost center. I'm reading 3 different fields of it. I'm just reading 10 records, and the offset I'm starting from 0. So it's a very basic select query that I have. So let me just deploy this. I have the response from the Snowflake. And in the response, we would have received the data. So all the records that I've requested for, you will see results as a parent tag. And then in the first segment, you will see the metadata information. So you'll see different columns that I've requested. So I've requested cost center name, and profit center. What are the different data types of these columns? So you'll see that as well. And then after that, you will see all the rows that you have requested for. So in this case, I have received, I think, 7 rows. My table contained 7 rows, so it gave me 7 rows back, and then with their indexes and their respective values that I had. We have insert a single record. So here I have an example. This is relevant for your transactional data when you're uploading data from your third-party application to your Snowflake application. In that case, you would want to insert the data. I have here as an example a table where I have multiple data types, and then later on you have the information of your rows. So here I am providing all the information for my different columns that I do have. One interesting point that I want to highlight here is that in these input payload, you can also use functions. For example, in this case, I'm putting a data into this column called as variant, which has a data type of variant. So it can contain technically an array of JSON or things like that. And in this case, you want to store that. You can use different functions that are available from Snowflake side in your query itself, in your commands itself. So in this case, I'm using a parse JSON. So the data that I'm passing is a JSON. I want to say it as a JSON in my record that I'm inserting. So I can use this parse JSON as an option. So there are different options that Snowflake provides. For example, when you're dealing with date, you have a different function that will extract or provide you information relatively relevant for the date operations. You have many other operations for different type of data types. So those operations are compatible with the adapter. So you can use, for example, in binary, in this case, we are using the base64. We are providing the data in this format. So based on how Snowflake expects data, and then it can use these different functions, you can also provide them as part of your input payload as well. So for example, if I run this here on my other screen, I have the Snowflake application. Let me bring that up as well. Yeah, so let me bring it up here. So I ran this command to see the data that I just inserted, and then just to show you the variant that I inserted. So here we see a valid value. If parse JSON as a function I would have not used, then this data would have been encoded with backslashes, and you will not see a valid JSON structure. Let's look at a few examples related to bulk upset. In this case, I have a table where I'm going to upload the data from an external staging location. In this case, I have already created a stage location, which is S3 external stage. And if I also show you this stage in Snowflake, you will see that the stage is created, and this is looking at this location of S3, which is the bucket, Sample bucket Snowflake, and then the folder location that it is looking for is file Snowflake. So if I go to my Snowflake AWS location, so here I'm looking for this file Snowflake, and within file Snowflake, I'm going to read this particular file, which is a CSV file. So I have provided the file with the folder location that I want to upload, and then it does have optional parameter as well. And this is also very important and very powerful because this essentially create a copy into command, which does have a lot of possible options that you can choose from. So based on the type of data that you are inserting into the tables, you can choose from different options that are available. So in this case, for example, I'm forcing the data to be uploaded. In case there's an error, it will still upload the data, it would not. And in case of error, I'm passing it as continue. So I'm using these two options as of now, but then you can already see that there's a lot of other options that you can use. So you can define the size limit. You can define if you want to get failed only records, the file processor, the scanners that you can choose, the length. So there's a lot of possible combinations that you can choose from. And all these informations are available on the official documentation of Snowflake. So when I run this command now, what it would do is it already has a link of this S3 staging location. So it will pick this file, and all the content that it has internally would be uploaded into the table of the Snowflake. So if I go back to the Snowflake application, I inserted the data just here. So if I run this, so I would have already the records that I just got uploaded from the CSV file. And maybe one last command that I would want to show also is this multi-execute, which is also very powerful when it comes to interacting with Snowflake. In this case, I'm using multiple commands. So I'm starting with creating a table. So I'm creating a table called as multiple execute test. Later, I'm adding some records. So I'm adding different rows into the table. After that, I'm updating some columns for particular IDs. I'm also deleting certain IDs, and then eventually I'm dropping the whole table. So total, I'm running 6 different commands here, and I've selected this multi-execute because I'm running many commands. So let me just activate the trace and deploy this. So you will see when I run all these commands, what it will do is the Raptor would run all of them sequentially. And then you can, using these sequential commands, you can also create multiple combination of different processes that you would want to run together with your Snowflake application. So let me just show you the response that we would have got back from Snowflake. So in the response, you would see different results, objects that are coming in, and all these different results are the responses of your individual SQL commands that you've initiated. So the first command where you have created a result, so there was no row affected. Later on, you added 5 rows. So there you see 5 rows were updated. There was a select command later on. So the 5 rows that we added, you can see using the select command. After that, we did an update, we did a delete, and then later on we dropped the table. So this is how you can run multiple commands in one single go as well. So this can become very handy when you have more complex solution SQL commands that you would want to run, and you would want to do it sequentially and in a quick way. So these are high level overview of how you can use the adapter for performing many operations. So basic CRUD operation, you have intuitive UI that would just allow you to select the table, provide different operations that you would want to do, provide the right data, and then the adapter takes care of the right command to be created, getting it executed, making sure that it is completed and the commit has happened. All of those transaction handling is being handled by the adapter. If you have more complex problem statement to solve, then you have multi-execute where you can create multiple commands yourself. You have bulk upset for uploading large volume of data. You have bulk unload which is for extracting a large volume of data into different staging location. This on high level is the overview. Today, we want to also share some tips that you can use in order to have a better experience with the adapter. So in order to use the adapter in a more uh, better way, as I just highlighted, we have functions that you have a support of. So you can provide different functions. So that is something we can use and make your commands and your orchestration a lot simpler. The optional parameter that I also discussed for copy into operations, this is available in the bulk upsert and the unload operations. You can use those optional parameters that are provided by the Snowflake. So you can decide the limits, the sequence of processing and a lot of that in the optional parameter. You have multi-execute. That is again a more powerful way of interacting with Snowflake. And then lastly, different design patterns as well. So maybe I'll also show you one another example from the design perspective, which is, for example, if you have to load data and you want to do it you're getting large volume of data, but you don't have, let's say, a staging location where you can upload the file and then later on kind of load the data into the tables. In those cases, you can also then use patterns such as splitter, where you can split the data into different batches. You can do parallel processing. So for example, in this case, I am loading data into Snowflake into a particular table, but then I will have huge volume of data. So what I'm doing here is I'm using split to batch the data and running them on a parallel process where I'm running 4 concurrent processes. So technically what I'm doing is I'm running 4 parallel processes. So if I have, let's say, 10,000 records to be updated, I would be having 4 parallel processes. So instead of doing it sequentially 10,000 times, I would be running parallel processes, which would have a better performance. So in some cases, the Snowflake takes X amount of time to perform a particular query. And if you use a better design principle within cloud integration, sometimes it is even faster to load the same amount of data with the right design that you have in your cloud integration. Lastly, we would like to talk about the roadmap that we do have. So this is an adapter which we are enriching. We have multiple releases that are planned in upcoming months. We are increasing the JDBC driver version. So we are improving the version that we currently have. We are bringing it to a more latest version of the Snowflake application. We are adding support for external location for GCS and Azure. So if you don't have your staging created, so this will allow you to have a staging location created on the fly, and you would be able to upload data from your GCS and Azure uh, directories as well, something similar to what you have for AWS already in the adapter. We are also adding multiple connection parameter support on the connection tab. We would also later on support internal staging as well, which will then allow you to create a staging location within your Snowflake application. So then in that case, you would no longer need AWS or GCS or Azure for creating an external stage. And then we are also adding more native support for different other commands such as describe, merge operations, upsert operations, things like that. So we will be adding more support for different native commands of Snowflakes. So this is high level of overview of the Snowflake adapter. Let me look at the questions. If we have any, we can take it now. Of course, we do have a LinkedIn community as well, where you can join and interact with the integration experts that we do have. So you can scan this code, which will help navigate you to the community that we do have, where we do share a lot of information related to the uh, improvements that are happening within integration suite. We do talk about a lot of different recipes, integration recipes. So it would be good that if you join that, it will help you out for different design patterns. I think that is it from our side.